On this week's show, Xbox 720 is rumored to have always-on internet requirements, Microsoft is to bring back the start button for Windows 8, CISPA gets passed in Congress, the future Timeline.net website, and microbatteries. This is the Tech Corner with Jay and Steve. Welcome to the Tech Corner. I'm Jason Koblowski along with...
I'm Steve Josie.
And we've got some interesting news to come up and tell you. We got some actually breaking news. So what's up, Steve?
Yeah, Microsoft has actually sent out some invites today. They're saying that at E3 this year, in about 19 days, they're going to unveil the new Xbox.
Very cool.
We don't know the name of it yet, but there's been lots of rumors and speculation that it'll be the Xbox 720,
Yes.
which makes sense.
Oh, very cool.
Not much detail other than just the rumors that we've heard on some new hardware, obviously improvements.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the biggest rumors, and it's kind of caused some controversy, is the fact that you might have to have your Xbox always connected to the internet in order to play your games. And I know this has caused some
A big
bit of controversy.
backlash.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
big backlash with some gamers.
So it'll
I don't know. What do you think? Are you for that or are you against that?
when you're looking at the usage-based billing issue, in Canada we have data caps. In the U.S. we have data caps. Across the world, usage-based billing is used by internet service providers. So I think right now we're seeing a bit of a clash between internet service providers and game developers and hardware developers. I think that's going to come to head, especially with the new consoles. Now, I know, I was just speaking with Teresa Murphy from the Canadian Gamers Organization that I used to head up with respect to the usage-based billing issue and what this would mean for Canadian gamers. Basically, the data caps now, every internet service provider now in Canada is offering unlimited internet to a certain point. Like, it's still very expensive when you're dealing with Rogers or Bell to get an unlimited internet as compared to, like, third party internet providers who pretty much have already provided unlimited internet for the past several years. So I don't think it's going to affect Canadians as much as it will affect maybe Americans and in the UK as well, and in Europe. But for me, as far as the data usage is concerned, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue for me. I think the issue is actually having a connection to the internet to play games. I think that's eventually where we're going to go. When you're looking at cloud gaming and stuff like that, that's eventually where we're going to go. But there's still a need for offline gaming.
But wouldn't you think almost every person that buys an Xbox, I would go as to say as 99% of the people that buy like a gaming console
Yeah.
have an internet connection?
Well, yeah, that's true too. But at the same time, you want to be able to turn on and off the internet as you please. Guaranteed there's going to be, because of the, or for the PS4, because of the PS4i that comes with it, that, there's a real kind of issue with what if it's hacked? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've got this hardware that's actually looking right into your living room, and that makes me feel a little uncomfortable. So I think there needs to be a way to kind of disconnect it from the internet. Quite frankly, I'm an online multiplayer dude, so I play all my games online anyway. But there are a very big chunk of the gamer community that do like their offline play. And if you look at what happened with I believe it was EA and their SimCity a while ago, where it was always on and the servers
Yeah.
crashed and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of problems with that technology. And even if, like, the way networking is set up, so if you try to connect to something like an EA server or Microsoft's Xbox server, and your connection's running, their connection's running, but something in between, some server in between goes down. Sometimes it can take an internet provider quite a while to reroute around that damaged server. So you could still end up with not being able to connect to your games because of a damaged server on AT&T's side in the States. That's happened before as well. So, I don't think it's gonna roll. I think there's been a huge backlash from the gaming community on it. So it's going to be kind of interesting whether or not it's included in the Xbox 720 or not.
Yeah, I think one of the big reasons that they were pushing it as well is probably for piracy, I imagine. I mean, Would you be would you object to, say, the minute you put your game in, if it did like a little check online and then it disconnected, for example?
I personally wouldn't care whether it did that or not. I purchase all my games, so in fact, I play on multiplayer a lot, so there's a lot of it's important to kind of have that verification that you bought the game, you're not hacking the game or whatever, because when you run into hackers online, it's quite annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree that they need something in place like that, but at the same time, if you're not playing online, if you're not playing multiplayer, and you're playing, like, let's say, a single player game like SimCity, why would you need, what I mean, like, why would you need an
Yeah,
always on
I totally agree
connection?
with you.
I don't think it's going to fly very, very far, to
I
be
think
honest with
even
you.
maybe if they give you the option, if you want to be connected all the time, maybe you get additional features,
Yeah.
whatever. If you don't want to be connected all the time, then you don't have to be connected, and you might not be able to access certain things, and
Yeah.
that would be your choice.
I think there's also a very strong danger with respect to protectionism right now in the gaming community. If we're talking about piracy and stuff like that, when you're taking things away from the gaming community because you're trying to protect developers, I understand that. But at the same time, when you're taking those things away, you're not actively fulfilling a market need. And rather than filling market needs and going for protection is, I think, going to hurt the consoles in the long run, because now we've got other hardware developers such as Nvidia, Asus, whole pile of other hardware manufacturers now that are kind of looking at the gaming console market and salivating. So
Yeah.
they want to get into it. So I personally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off on buying a next generation console, whether that be Xbox or PS4. I'm just going to hold off for about a year to see what else is coming in the market, because I'm pretty sure we're going to get something that's going to throw the regular players into definite competition, especially around market needs. Because from what I've looked at the PS4 anyway, there's really not much market needs being met by the PS4. So now I'm kind of looking at the Xbox 720. I'm actually hoping that they actually really kind of leave that protectionism behind and actually go for the market needs of gaming consumers. So that's what I would be looking for.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah. So stay tuned. That announcement will be made on May the 21st of next month.
Exactly.
So we'll know a lot more then.
Oh, yes.
In other Microsoft news, big pressure from consumers on Windows 8 to bring back the start button, and also to be able to boot directly in the desktop. That was two of the biggest complaints apparently from consumers.
Yeah.
And it looks like Microsoft might bend and actually bring it back in Windows Blue, which is Windows 8.1,
Yeah.
which will be coming out later this year. It hasn't been actually, and there's been a few builds that have leaked out
Hmm.
of Blue. None of them have had the start button nor the feature to boot to desktop.
Yeah.
But it's coming from very high level people at Microsoft that it will be included in the final code.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Well, it is.
You,
It is
yeah,
very
it is. It's
interesting.
very
Yeah.
interesting because Microsoft initially said, no, this is the way we're doing it. Get used to it. This is the new way. And now they've kind of pulled back and said, oh, wait a minute. Our market share is pretty low on Windows 8, and
Yeah.
computers aren't selling, for a variety of reasons, which we've discussed before. So just the
Yeah.
post PC era. I mean, it's not just because
Mm.
Windows 8. There's
Yeah.
many, many other factors that it's not selling. But
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like they're going, they're gonna bring it back.
Long overdue. I think, the beta testers that were beta testing Windows 8, I know quite a few of them were really upset about the start button not being in there for some reason. Now, I'm not a Windows 8 user, so I'm not exactly. I haven't really kind of been briefed on what's happening with Windows 8 as far as a technical standpoint. But that was a big issue with the beta testers, was the start button, and they complained and complained and complained. Microsoft said, no, 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 forget it, forget it, and then they bring it in. A lot of the beta testers said it would be too much of a jump for desktop users to use Windows 8 without a start button. So, I don't know. I haven't used it. You've used it quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I'm currently using it right here, right now. It did take, I came from Windows 7. It did take me a little while
Yeah.
to get used to it, but I mean, it wasn't for me. I mean, I'm more of a nerd anyway, so I mean,
Yeah.
I tend to take a liking to new things quicker than most. But I agree. In the enterprise, for example, like if I take a look at where I work,
Yeah.
if I were to put this in front of someone, they would be probably lost for the first little while, and
Yeah.
there'd have to be some retraining of people,
Yeah.
which a lot of companies don't want to do because that's added cost.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think what Microsoft kind of fails to realize is, yes, they're going to put back the start button, but when you click on the start button, it's going to take you back to the Metro interface, which
Oh,
is what people really don't want. Most people want the start button back because they want it to look like the Windows 7 start button, where
yeah.
you've got the little, just a little thing that pops up where you can go to your control panel and launch apps from there.
Yeah.
And that's what people want, that kind of start button. So I don't know if this is really solving the problem.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I know that a lot of analysts have been looking at the sales of this, and as you alluded to earlier, that a lot of people have been blaming Microsoft for the failure of Windows 8. To be quite honest, looking at it from a software developer point of view, they could have people don't do change very well. You have to slowly move the change.
Yes.
So it would be kind of cool if they did something that would adapt, like, through Windows 8, like actually slowly move the start button off rather than actually hacking it off with a chainsaw.
Yeah. I mean, they should have just, yeah, you're right. They should have done this from the get-go
Yeah,
and maybe given people the option. If,
exactly.
like, for example, maybe default it to not have the start button, but if you really want to go back and turn it on, give us that option to do it. And that way you would keep everyone happy.
Exactly. Now, to actually add, I would think the Windows 7 start button kind of deal, that would be a large amount of redesigning the operating system, I would think. That would be a pretty hard undertaking. So I think what they're trying to do is going, okay, well, here's your start button, but we're just going to keep the actual interface that we have. We're not actually going to redesign it so that it suits what you guys want. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not it takes off or not. I don't think it will. I think Windows 8 has been a pretty big flop over the past little while, and
Yeah, I mean, generally, if you look at operating systems, the very successful ones obviously take off very quickly, like Windows 7 did right
yeah,
away. They sell a lot of copies up like at the beginning of the release.
yeah,
And I was just looking at a chart here of percentages of operating system shares for March of 2013,
yeah.
and Windows 8 is behind Windows Vista at this point.
Wow.
Windows Vista was considered a flop,
Well,
like you said.
Windows Vista as well. What that also happened was is that there was a need or a jump in technology, so Windows Vista had to be developed. But at the same time, when you adapt to Windows Vista, a lot of your older equipment or older hardware, older software didn't really work on Vista, so it was still a big jump for the user. So that didn't do too well. By the time we got to Windows 7, everybody was already adapted to Windows Vista, and the technology was a little more less expensive going to Windows 7. That's what I
Yeah.
found anyway. So
Yeah.
everybody was sort of kind of Windows Vista was the adaptation operating system, and then Windows 7 was the actual stable operating system.
Yeah, which might happen this time around too, with Windows
Exactly.
8 being they're jumping off to this new platform. Windows 9 might be the one that, hey, now we've got a lot of hardware out there that'll support the touch screening and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think maybe the next version might be the one.
Yeah, it might be, and it might not be either because we're also in the post PC era. So it really kind of depends on, we've got Android, for instance, Google's iOS, or not Google's iOS, sorry, Apple's iOS, and there are other operating systems that are also in the pipeline as well that are coming out for mobile devices. So it's a competitive market for mobile devices. Windows has really kind of got to find its way, I guess. Now it's really big with the enterprise stuff,
Yeah.
but when you're looking at consumers, it's quite the different environment with consumers. So it's going to be interesting times for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of interesting times, CISPA is back.
Yes, I know.
Thought we got rid of this thing, but
Yes.
apparently not.
Now, what exactly is CISPA, just so that our listeners who don't know?
Well, it's the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act,
Mm-hmm.
which basically, I mean, I don't know the exact details of it,
Yeah.
but it goes to online privacy. Basically, it's giving law enforcement basically accessed to your information without them having to get a search warrant, as
Yeah,
far as I know. That's the main thing.
yeah,
And then they're able to spy on you, they're able to, see all your emails,
hmm
all without your knowledge.
yeah.
And this the scary thing is all the big companies are on board with this. Like Microsoft is supporting this, Google is supporting this.
Actually, last time I checked, there were a few that I think analysts, not actual companies, are worried that this is going to, as this information is, we're in, the big data kind of information through social media, that legislation like this will have people clamp down on what information they provide out, which kind of sucks for Google, for Facebook, for Twitter. They all gather that information and sell it to potential investors and whatnot. This could actually make privacy much more of a thing online than actually not online, because right now, yeah, they would have to get information, but if you encrypt everything, you know what I mean, it's going to be a little
Yeah.
harder for them to, or you take steps to increase your privacy. Now, we already had this privacy debate in Canada. We had the Tell Vic Everything campaign over Twitter, where our Canadian government tried to do the same thing. There was a major pushback from the Canadian population on that. I think Obama said that he was going to veto this. It had that the White House basically said that it has to respect current privacy laws, and if it doesn't, he's going to veto it. And currently, it doesn't. So even though that it's
Yeah.
passed, the House, was it House of Representatives or
Yeah,
Congress?
keep in mind it's only passed in the House of Representatives for right now, which is
Yeah,
mainly Republican controlled.
yeah,
Now, in order for it to become full law, it needs to go to the Senate, the US Senate, which is mainly Democratic controlled,
yeah,
which is exactly last time the Democrats voted it down.
yeah,
And even if it does slip through the Democrats and they vote it into law, then yes, the final rendition of the bill has to go to Mr. Obama,
yeah,
which he said he probably will veto it if he doesn't, if it's the same as before,
yeah,
pretty much.
yeah, exactly. And that's happened with SOPA and PIPA as well. Like SOPA and PIPA passed Congress, then it went to the Senate. It died in the Senate because of the backlash towards it, and the Obama also threatened to veto it by the time it got to the Senate as well. As soon as it was passed, Obama threatened to veto it, and it died in the Senate. And that's exactly kind of the same situation we're in with CISPA as well. It passed in the Congress, and now Obama's threatened to veto it, and it's basically, I'm pretty sure it's just going to fizzle out and die. I don't think the
Yeah.
Senate's going to do anything with it, but
I have a
who
feeling though
knows?
they're just gonna keep trying and trying and trying until something gets through. Like
Exactly.
it doesn't seem like they're giving up on this.
No, no. And, when it comes to privacy as well, just to throw in there, when you're speaking about personal information and personal data and that kind of stuff, you're seeing data breaches all over the place. For instance, our own government just released yesterday that there was over 3,000 data breaches of Canadians' personal data over the past about 10 years. That's over the span of 10 years, there's been 3,000 breaches of your personal data. So if government can actually get it right, why should we trust others? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's interesting that they haven't really told us that till now.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So we need to, keep vigilant and keep our eyes, especially on information such as CISPA, and actually question the need for it. Do we actually need to do this? What's the benefit towards this? That's basically what we need to do, is just question those that bring that up front, I guess.
Right. Well, we'll keep our eye on it and see what happens.
Yes. Now, you and I have discovered a site that we can't seem to get our eyes off
Oh, I
of.
love it. I remember when I first found this site, I literally spent probably 4 hours straight on just going through year after year after year to see what's gonna happen.
Exactly. It's called futuretimeline.net. I'll include the actual link to this through the site for those of you that are interested. And it's a very interesting kind of take as to where the future of technology is going, the future of humanity, the future of politics, all that kind of stuff. And it's all developed in a very analytical way. Like there's actual facts to back up what they're predicting. I just happened to click on 2015. One of the things that caught my eye were micro batteries. And last week we had an announcement that there was a very big leap in technology with respect to micro batteries, and they're going to be coming on the market pretty soon. This site suggests they're going to come out in 2015. Now, basically, what micro batteries are little tiny batteries that you can charge in like seconds, and that will have the power to jumpstart a dead car battery. This stuff is really, really cool, especially for cell phone users, for mobile users as well. I've got two batteries for my phone, so if one dies, and it takes like 6 hours for the batteries to charge fully.
Yeah, here, let me read you the little quote that they have here on Future Timeline of what they think will happen in 2015.
Yeah.
It says by 2015, the process is widely used in consumer electronics. Mobile phones can now be charged from flat in under 15 minutes, with a single charge lasting up to a week. This technology also paves the way for smaller and more efficient batteries for electronic cars.
Yes, so that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's where they're predicting we're going to be in 2015. Now, with the announcement of the micro batteries, basically what they're saying is this is a major drawback right now that they're finding with it is safety. Number one, they're finding that that these things obviously are highly charged and they can obviously cause fires, that kind of stuff right now. But also the fact that they lose approximately, it's over about 35% of their charge capacity after it's been recharged 15 times. So anything over 15 times and the battery fades quite quickly. So they're working on getting that fixed up. So
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still in the R&D stage.
oh
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's another year of before they have a final product and they can say, okay, this is what we're aiming to produce. But I mean, having having to charge my phone in under 15 minutes and lasting for a full week,
Oh, I know.
like give it to me now. I want it now.
Now
So I mean that's the thing with
oh yeah.
smartphones today is sometimes I'm charging my phone twice a day. I mean it depends how much I use it, but
Yeah.
that's the only thing that hasn't grown with the tech that we have is batteries.
Yeah, exactly. And can you imagine the application in this in cars? Like if this actually
Yeah.
comes to play, then, electric cars will be everywhere, especially if we got, super strong batteries for that. I know a lot of the reason why we don't have a lot of electric cars is because of the battery technology,
Yeah. I mean,
So
you can only do I think a few hundred kilometers at this point with a full charge, and then
exactly.
and obviously there's no real places to charge it. But if you're able to get a battery where you're able to go 1,000, 1,500 kilometers on a single charge,
Yeah.
absolutely, where to sign me up? I'm buying one.
Me too. Now, you spotted an article in 2045 that's interesting of note, didn't you?
Yes, I did actually. It says here in 2045, humans are becoming intimately merged with machines. So at this point in time, they're talking about having nanobots inside of us. Basically, they're going to be our doctors in terms of
Cool.
they're going to go around our body and see if anything's wrong, and you'll be able to get a diagnostic of yourself
Yeah.
anytime you want. So it's basically there's a doctor inside you all the time checking, okay, there's a potential for you to get cancer here in, your arm or something.
Yeah.
And obviously right there you've got it before it can manifest into something bigger.
Yeah.
And they're saying that these nanobots can also be linked to, I can't remember, there was a certain part of your brain where it's able to turn something on in your brain so you're able to virtualize an image that you can only see.
Oh, neat.
So we won't have to have stuff like monitors
Cool.
because your monitor is going to be in front of you. You're going to see things that you can see
Yeah.
due to these nanobots interacting with your brain.
That is very cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's 2045, so that's not too far away. That's within our lifetime. So,
Yeah, I hope I make it that far.
I'll be an old man sitting there with a cane, playing around with my computer.
People think we're really crazy then. We'll be playing games and people will be looking at us like, "What's wrong with that guy?"
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, definitely, it's definitely a site worth checking out. It does go into politics and the future of humanity, upwards towards the singularity. It goes like I think 300 billion years into the future. I think
Yeah. I
something
mean,
like
obviously
that.
I think the higher it goes, the less accurate it is, but
Yeah,
I think I would say within at least a century, I would say it's fairly accurate.
yeah. So definitely check it out. It's called futuretimeline.net. That's www.futuretimeline.net. I will definitely post a link to that on both podcast and YouTube page. So
And the cool thing is they always add new predictions. If there's certain things that happen, at our time now that looks like they're going to further go ahead, they add things in as we go.
yeah, and it's all based on research too.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
whole pile of footnotes and what they base their predictions on.
this
So
isn't just it isn't yeah, exactly. This isn't just some sci-fi writer writing, oh, this is
yeah,
what I think is going to happen. They actually have links and sometimes like YouTube videos on
yeah,
people testing these things and the early development of these things, and
yeah,
they even talk about Google Glass and how Google Glass is eventually going to become the bionic eye, where you actually implant a new eye into your head, and you're going to be able to see, like infrared and
yeah,
much higher quality than your eye can actually see,
yeah.
which is crazy.
So, anyways, that's the show for this week. So, thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to search for us on YouTube. It's CDN Tech Network on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. So, thank you very much, and we'll catch you in a few weeks.